As a dedicated Steam Deck fan, I was never going to stray from its side. The Steam Deck is amazing. It does everything I need, and when I play the right games, it can even make a grilled cheese. I don't need another gaming handheld. Well, crap. That's not exactly what happened. I did buy the Ally on a whim. A bit of a consolatory price because I got into a fender bender earlier that day and I was feeling sorry for myself. I ended up at the Best Buy, saw the open box Ally for $4.50. Without thinking about it, I asked the store clerk if I could see it, bought it and almost instantly regretted it. But it was too late now. It was time to suck it up. Nose to the grindstone and play some video games like a real man. How bad could this thing really be? Little did I know.
What?
Well, this put a bit of a damper on my good video gaming intentions. Without the SD card reader, no extra terabyte of storage, and the Ally only comes with 512 gigs to begin with. And let me tell you, this fills up very quickly with the massive install sizes of games these days. What about these? They do look cool, but there's no rhyme or reason for when they turn on. The first night I had it charging next to my bed, but I had to unplug it because it kept waking me up. And a big one for me, the resume from sleep function only works about half the time. Even after a year, this is still a problem. Meaning you have to restart your games every time you turn on your Ally. And man, this one little feature really makes me appreciate my Steam Deck so much more. Yes, those first few days with the Ally were rough. I had a major case of buyer's remorse, and everything about the Ally just rubbed me the wrong way. Another good example of this is the clunky user interface. Windows just isn't made for a controller. You use your control stick as a mouse and the bumpers as the buttons. It's just functional, but if you do anything finicky like scrolling down a page, it's a pain. Why on earth didn't they use trackpads like the Steam Deck? They aren't perfect, but they would have worked really well for the Ally. The controls on the other hand are pretty decent and feel similar to me to the Steam Deck. There's your 2 controller sticks, A, B, X and Y buttons, 4 shoulder buttons, 4-point stick and 2 back buttons. The buttons feel good and the sticks have good travel. There is this weird clicking issue I have with one of my sticks, but I'm attributing this to the second-hand nature of my Ally. Gyro aiming works well and can be configured for each game individually. The form factor is also pretty decent. Again, not as good as for example the Steam Deck, which I find very comfortable, but not bad. It's just kind of a slab with buttons. Not really designed for holding, so it's not all bad, but I haven't even talked about the worst yet. Thought it was bad with the Steam Deck, but that was before I bought the Ally. The battery life on this thing is absolutely abhorrent. Playing a AAA game gives you maybe 55 minutes of playtime. With the Ally, you truly have to be tethered to the wall. Luckily, I do have a nice laptop battery charger, but that's an accessory that shouldn't be necessary. There are a lot of settings you can use to get more battery life. Like for example the different power settings, 25, 20, 15 and 10. But at 15 watts, which is equal to the Steam Deck power draw, why wouldn't I just stick with the Steam Deck, which performs better at equal power draw? If you want to do any kind of AAA gaming, you're really stuck to the 25 and 30 watt power settings. Anything below that really hacks into your performance. So at this point, things didn't look great for the Ally and I honestly thought about returning it. But I reminded myself, just because I'm used to the Steam Deck doesn't necessarily mean the Ally is bad, so I stuck with it. And maybe, just maybe, there are some redeeming qualities. Holy crap, fingerprint sensor. The user interface isn't as outright clunky as I originally thought it was. Controlling Windows still sucks, but the ROG Command Center, which you can pull up with a dedicated button, is actually pretty cool once you get used to it. It's easy to have all your different storefronts and launchers here and have them all in one place. You can even put shortcuts to all your installed games right here. Yes, all 3 of them. This is also where you can change permanent settings for your games and change settings for your Ally. For example, remember those LEDs I was complaining about earlier? Well, hidden away in a dusty corner in these settings is an LED control to actually turn them off. Yeah. Another thing I really like is the ROG control panel. It's similar to the Steam Deck side panel, except that the ROG panel is a little bit more customizable. You can add any number of apps and functions for you to use. Things like a performance monitor that you can move anywhere on the screen. There's a cool built-in screen recording and screen capture function. An app to close other apps and stuff like that. It's really pretty cool and I think I like it better than the Steam Deck side panel. Also, I recently found out that ROG has finally acknowledged the SD card reader problem. So if you're having this problem, you can send it in and they'll replace it free of charge. About time. And supposedly they fixed the actual problem in the LIX, but that remains to be seen. And there's this. Being the noob I am, I had to look this up. But basically it matches your screen refresh rate with the frame rate of your game to avoid screen tearing and stuttering, even at low frames per second, and give you even smoother gameplay. The 1080p screen with 120Hz refresh rate is also quite nice, although it's no OLED screen. So it's not all bad, but I haven't even talked about the 2 biggest reasons you would get an Ally. One of the biggest strengths of the Steam Deck is the Steam operating system. but simultaneously, this is one of its biggest weaknesses. Trying to run games like Call of Duty, Fortnite and other games that use anti-cheat systems just isn't possible because of Linux. The Ally and other Windows-based PC handhelds have none of these problems. And running Windows comes with other advantages too. Adding apps like Netflix, Xbox Game Pass or even checking your email is just much easier. Where the Steam Deck is really just a dedicated gaming device, it's much easier to use the Ally for everyday things or even work-related stuff if you want to.
But even more important, and funny enough, another big weakness of the Steam Deck. As you can see, there's a large difference in specs and potential performance between the Steam Deck and the Ally. The Steam Deck's somewhat aging APU has a power draw of 15 watts, where the much newer Ally is capable of 30 watts in turbo mode, with the Steam Deck having the ability to perform up to 1.6 teraflops of theoretical performance against the eye-watering 8.6 of the Ally, which in comparison is much closer to something like the PS5 with 10.8 teraflops, where the Steam Deck is much closer to the PS4 with 1.84 teraflops. And before I get blasted, I understand that this is just one metric in performance. My point is, if you're purely looking for performance, the Ally will be your handheld. Games that are unplayable on the Steam Deck run pretty well on the Ally, and games that run well on the Steam Deck often run better and at higher settings on the Ally. Another added advantage, the Ally can double as a space heater at the same time.
For how much I didn't like the Ally when I first got it because of the many things it does wrong, it has a few really big positives that make it a device worth mentioning if you're looking for performance or maybe a device that's not just a gaming machine. And of course there's the coolness factor of having the most powerful gaming handheld out there at the moment. For me, I think I'll be using the Ally together with my Steam Deck. The Steam Deck for when I want to play just a quick game because it's so much easier and smooth. Switching to the Ally when I get some dedicated video gaming time. Especially with most games supporting cloud saves nowadays, I think this is the best way to go for me. And that's it. Check here for my Steam Deck OLED review and what makes it such a great device even 2 years after release, and I hope to see you in the next one.